nuclear arsenal. Are you that big of an idiot? Or is it just the fact that you're Putin's puppet? And then going back to the other statement that Donald Trump made, where he said it was a good conversation, but it's not going to lead to peace. And Putin said very strongly, what does it even mean? He said very strongly that he's going to attack Ukraine. And that's the good news. And you think somehow Putin is going to be an ally with you to tell Iran not to develop a nuclear arsenal when Iran thinks that you are just totally weak and pathetic. And even though you've capitulated to offer Iran a worse deal than the nuclear deal that existed that you destroyed under former President Obama with Iran, where it was very weak enforcement measures. And Iran said, why would we ever listen to the United States? You're now begging Putin to be involved in this. Donald Trump goes on to say, I stated to Putin that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. He goes on to say, President Putin suggested that he will participate in the discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to a rapid conclusion. It is my opinion that Iran has been slow walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time, ! Again, do you realize how weak and pathetic that makes you look? I strongly believe that they are slow walking their decision. No, they think you are a coward. They think that you're a taco. Trump always chickens out. They just think you're full bluff. They're not afraid of you. And the fact that your first move is to beg Daddy Putin, your Daddy Putin, for help and not go to the European Union or Canada or Australia. You run to Putin? I understand why Iran thinks that you're an idiot and thinks that you're a coward. So if you think about it, this is what Ivo Dalder says. Pretty clear from this readout of the call with Putin that Trump sees Russia as an ally on Iran and not an adversary in Ukraine. Any hope he might have turned and agreed to impose a new sanction on Russia is all but gone. So then you have Donald Trump's Secretary of State spokesperson, Tammy Bruce, who used to be a host on Fox. She goes on the show of her old employer. She goes on Fox. And even Fox is perplexed. They're saying, why is Trump broadcasting Russia's next move? What? It's unusual. Why is Trump doing this? And then Tammy Bruce, who's quite literally pink dress lady. You know how in North Korea, their propagandist is pink dress lady. Tammy Bruce goes, well, he's got to be transparent. And so he's just telling you what's going down. Here, play this clip.
In response to the post on Truth Social from the president, why is he broadcasting Russia's next move?
Well, the president has always been transparent. He feels that the governance of this country, of course, belongs to every American. That is part, of course, of his remarkable success. Is what President Trump is thinking. You know why he does what he does. This is an existential matter. It is something that has been very public. He made his opinion about President Putin also very clear a couple of weeks ago, when, even sooner than that, saying he didn't know what happened to him. And he was furious about the nature of Russia sending rockets into Ukraine, killing civilians, killing innocent people. Now, this phone call obviously touched on a number of issues. I was not there. I'm not going to characterize it, but I have to say that it is perhaps the least optimistic I've heard him regarding the nature of what was possible in a phone call and the peace or ceasefire with Ukraine. But this is part of, obviously, negotiations. It is part of the diplomatic effort, the nature of conversations between people who can make the difference. President Trump knows President Putin clearly over time. He clearly has made obvious his opinion of him at this point, and he continues to make the difference. He continues to try to get to peace. And I think that this is the framework that we expect from President Trump. It's why he's successful. It's why Americans trust him as they should. And it's why if anybody can get this done, it will be President Trump.
And then Fox asks Tammy Bruce, the Secretary of State spokesperson, why does Trump think Putin might be helpful in a negotiation with Iran when Putin and Iran are in an alliance to destroy Ukraine? Why do you think Putin would put pressure on Iran? Why? And then Tammy Bruce is like, and this was kind of telling, for some reason, he believes within that relationship that might be possible, but this is one of the reasons why Trump matters so much. This is one of the reasons why Trump matters so much. What the hell are you talking about? Have they all gone absolutely mad? I'm asking seriously. These people have gone they've always been mad. This is wild. Here, play this clip.
Something that caught my eye in the president's post was he also said that he thinks Putin might be able to be helpful, he said, in the negotiations with Iran. Can you unpack that for us a little bit?
Well, again, I don't want to characterize or speculate on what that means. This is a situation where the president's obviously open with the American people and with his thoughts here. And for some reason, he believes within that relationship that might be possible. And we'll see how that might unfold. But this is one of the reasons why President Trump matters so much and why we believe he can get things done, because of his relationships with people and his willingness to talk with everyone and to use whatever tools he has in that tool chest, whatever mechanisms he has as the president of the United States, to make sure everyone around the world knows that America is back, that the president is serious, that we're going to do what we need to make America safer. And the way to do that is to make the world safer. And that, I believe, is what drives him and will make the difference here.
And then throughout the day, you had Trump regime members attacking Ukraine over and over again. So Dan Bongino, the whiny crybaby deputy FBI director, goes, "My job is so hard. It's so hard to do my job. I'm not with my wife all the time because they make me work 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. at night." Remember that clip I showed you last week of Dan Bongino, the far right-wing podcaster who somehow became the deputy FBI director? So he goes on Hannity, and Hannity says, "What's your biggest fear? What keeps you up at night?" And his response is, "We all saw what happened in Russia." And he's not saying Russia's the bad guy. He's saying Ukraine's the bad guy. Those drone attacks on Russia is what I'm worried about in the United States. That's his answer. Here, play this clip.
The threat picture now for the United States is dramatic, and I really appreciate we have a president, an attorney general, and FBI director who take those threats seriously. I mean, you name it, Sean. You ask me what's the biggest threat right now. People say, well, what keeps you up at night? Well, the answer is I'd never sleep if I thought about this stuff all the time, but it all keeps me up at night. The drone threat. This is a perilous, acute threat. It's not here tomorrow. It's here today. Everybody saw what happened in Russia. It's only a matter of time if we don't take action, which I promise you, the Attorney General and the Director and I are taking action on this threat. It is here right now. You've got the threat of AI, alignment there. You've got the threat of China, infiltration into our systems. It's been publicly reported. You've seen it. When you get the President's Daily Brief every morning, like the Director and I do, for this half an hour block we get, it's the first thing we do. You know, Sean, you walk out of there and you're like, somebody go get me a cup of coffee. I mean, this is really, I need a coffee relaxes me a little bit, because you go out of there, your blood pressure's through the roof.
Now, on the other hand, let me explain to you what President Zelensky of Ukraine is doing. Zelensky said yesterday that Ukrainian operations inside Russia have helped change the narrative inside the United States, other than Donald Trump. Talks that Ukraine is losing the war and that Ukraine has, quote, no cards is out the window. People realize Ukraine has the cards, Zelensky said. He goes, the political mood in Washington, excluding Trump, is shifting. Zelensky says the agenda of the Ukraine-U.S. talks include 3 key points: the mineral deal, defense agreement on U.S. weapon aid, and sanctions against Russia. Zelensky says, we propose a ceasefire to the Russians before the leaders' meeting. We're ready to meet any day at all. Starting Monday, you pick the day. The location is up to the Russians. You want to go to Istanbul, the Vatican, Switzerland, you pick the location and we will be there. Zelensky says that his sanction advisor in Ukraine is now briefing U.S. senators on which sanctions on Russia are working and which are not. We've created important channels with Senator Graham and the president of the European Commission, von der Leyen, and European leaders. The goal is a coordinated U.S.-EU sanctions package. Zelensky says a ceasefire could have come before the drone operation that Ukraine carried out. Zelensky was asked, would that operation have happened if there had been a ceasefire? And Zelensky